It's a lot of space. It's a high roof van, big doors, easy to stand up in, although it's going to get a little harder to stand up in once we insulate it. Even though this is a low mileage Nissan van with a lot of working life left in it, it was marked down a little bit, and I think that's mostly because of the back doors, which had been just pummeled, honestly. Probably with some collisions to a loading dock. It's a little harder to see now. I already did some work to them yesterday. I had sworn to myself that I was going to show you guys every single minute of work on this thing, and I've already skipped ahead a little bit. But the doors were beat. There was a big ladder mounted right here. You can see the mounts for it. So the first thing I did yesterday was get into adjusting these hinges. And if you've never done it, on a van like this that has hinges that look a whole lot like door hinges, like in your house, you can adjust them much the same way. So these had been bent in that way so that when I closed the door, I would start to feel the hinges binding right about here, and you would just have to force it or slam the hell out of it to get it to close all the way. And obviously that's not desirable long term. The more that you're forcing and slamming, the worse and worse you're making the hinges and the door and everything each time you close the door. So now it's closing pretty easily. And the way that I did that was to rebend the hinges in the opposite direction. And in this case, much like you would do with a door in your house, in that case I would probably use a nail set or something smaller that would fit in. In this case, it was literally a block of lumber fitted into the hinge, and then carefully, scientifically bending the door back against this block of wood. So I'm deliberately binding the hinge in a considerably more open position, and I'm rebending that hinge. So the plan is, you know what, I'll tell you the plan in a minute. I'll clear it out and I'll lay some materials in here, and then we can take, and I'm just putting, you know, a sixth of my man force on this. I'm not trying to go crazy. It's relatively light material, especially the door panel itself. The hinge looks burlier, but it's bendable as well. So let's just see what that did. Just that light amount of squeezing. Now I've got a really easy swing in there. And then the last thing I'll do right now, since I noticed that the top gap was a little bit off, I'm going to loosen this hinge and just move it over. So I'm just gently now able to push this closed, which is nice. Not smashing it anymore. And let's see how we did. It's still a little too tight. I'll hold you up so you can see that. It's just a little too tight up there. And you can see how the door on the left is dropped a little lower than the right one. That's because it's sagging slightly. But if we take the door and just pick it up as hard as we can, we're going to actually bend the door and the hinges back up a little bit. So I'll probably try to do that later with a car jack and see how that goes, since I don't have any more adjustability on the hinge, and I do still want to get that thing opened back up a little bit. Let's give it a try. So looking under here, there's absolutely no structure that I trust enough to put a jack directly onto. This is one part of the door skin. There's another part that, as I mentioned before, is separated. I don't know if you can see, but this is moving independently. Look, when I squeeze that, it's moving independently from this one. So if I put a jack right here or a jack right here, I'm just going to further rip those apart. So we'll unify them with a handy piece of heavy angle that is hopefully skinny enough. Yeah, it'll fit to the bumper. And we're going to trust the truck's own bumper for the relatively small amount of lifting force that we need to provide. I'm just turning this by hand, and I can already feel the door lifting up. When I release the pressure of this jack, whoops, the jack's handle is some other object. So we'll use a handy screwdriver. I'm just going to put a little more pressure on this than I can with just my fingers. But again, nothing crazy. I'd like to hear at least one creak or crack from this thing. As a carpenter, that's how I can tell when I'm having an effect on the things around me, when they creak and snap and crackle. And of course, right when I turned the camera off, I did 2 more turns and there was a boom from the door. So I knew I had done something. So I'm about 3/4 of an inch. The top of the door is now about 3/4 of an inch above where it would normally sit when the door is in its closed position. So I've bent it up a good deal. I've forced it up a good deal with the jack. We'll let the pressure off now, and it'll relax to some extent, but hopefully it relaxes not back to its original position. It relaxes to something more like the correct position. To speak candidly, now that I've been just taking a minute looking at other adjustments. It's closing really well now, but I'm still not able to quite get the gap to where I'd like it. It's still a little bit tight. I tried to show this in another part of the video too. This whole inner skin has cracked or broken away from the outer skin of the door. And I'll bring you down to where you can see a little bit better. All right, you're short enough now to have a pretty good angle on this. So we're going to try to rejoin. There's a flange on the inner skin of the door and then a panel on the outer skin of the door that clearly were supposed to be part of the same structure. Do you know about these? These are welding clamps, and they're going to be good for pulling together this flange with this panel. So I'm going to take some Scotch brand mounting tape, although any sticky foam tape is handy for this kind of thing. And I'm going to actually double stick tape these pieces together before I put the clamps on them. This is kind of like how they actually make cars now. Just double stick tape. Just a guy out in the field in the rain. I have a bunch of footage of me like mouth breathing and muttering to myself. I guess all I wanted to show you is that now we have functioning doors. They don't wobble anymore when they close. It just closes like a door. Skawam! Instead of like this one is closing just fine and everything's latching well. It's got, you know, a little more looseness to it. We could maybe adjust the latch, but I think putting the insulation in is going to change fitment enough that I'm going to need to retweak things a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy until we get to the next level on that. We're also going to hang a window AC unit in the back of this door. That's going to affect the weight of the door. Hopefully it won't affect the fit of the door at all. It's going to encourage us not to slam this door when we close it, which is good. And then I'm going to get into insulation, and I wanted to just show you, I have a pile of timber HP next to me. This is 2-inch timber HP 4x8 panels made in Maine, made out of sawdust, impregnated with paraffin, which is why I'm not very worried about it sitting in the rain right now. And likewise, my truck is covered in insulation, a bunch of Roxul that's going to go in the cavities. Is that more than we need for one van? Yes, it is. Some of it's going to go to other projects. And then there is a pile of foam insulation, and I'll talk a little bit as we go along about why I chose the materials that I did. I don't like foam, but a little bit of it is necessary for a job like this. And then on top, there's a sheet of MDO that we'll use to make the custom panel that receives the AC unit and the cool bot. So since I've rattled on about these doors so much, I'll give you one more little update. This hinge where it meets the van was actually painted on. So what I did one more time before I closed the chapter on door adjustment was I loosened those bolts. I took a cold chisel and just gently gave it some love tappings with a 3-pound drilling hammer, affectionately known as a cub slugger by my dearly departed father. That popped it right over, and it's actually now probably too far. So this is why we're putting a cool bot in this van. That dude from US Foods or whoever is probably the third truck to sit there today unloading vegetables. Can you hear that thing? It's deafening. It's not just idling. It's running. It's probably, I don't know, 1200 RPM. And that'll happen 4 or 5 times a day back here for the restaurant that's right up on the corner. So we need an insulated truck and a cooled truck where you don't have to run the motor to chill things overnight.